If you enjoy the content, I would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button and checking out my socials. Coming into COD MW3, Donk was the most talked about thing. Rumours went around these sporadic walls, praising his individual talent and high-paced aggression. Others may have been skeptical of this potentially overhyped prospect, but in COD MW3, he delivered massively, earning more 2.0 ratings just in a single tournament than Zayu and Simple put together last year. Hey, I'm Smirky, and today I want to look at Donk and how he rifles on the CT side of Overpass, so let's begin. You need to stop wasting your time looking for good CS2 trading sites.
What?
And I have one that's doing a giveaway with top-up bonuses up to 40%. Yes! Today's sponsor is Traded.gg, the leading trading site proudly powering the biggest names and everyone's favourite team, Vitality. No. To trade, select a skin in your inventory, select a skin from Traded.gg's vast collection and click trade. Or you can top up your balance and gain free additional deposits. On top of that, for every purchase or trade you do with Traded.gg, you gain tickets to enter their giveaway. So why not use Traded.gg? Buy skins, sell skins, and win skins with Counter-Strike's leading trading site. Let's first look at what Donk does at the start of the round. At the start of the round, Donk likes to throw a ramp smoke and a Molotov at playground. To do the smoke, he puts his back against flowers, aims above these trees, or to the bottom left of this crane, and he will run and jump throw when his screen hits the drain pipe. After throwing the smoke, he will then throw a Molotov at playground. To do this, put your crosshair to the right in the middle part of the square line, run and jump throw as soon as you hit the bench. This util combo is amazing as the smoke lands at ramp, preventing vision into fountain, and the Molotov will land playground, blocking tees from entering, but they could use a smoke. However, if they did that, they would make noises, making you aware that the tees are potentially rushing playground. And this util combo can be fantastic as a switch up if you want to do something aggressive. In round 6 against Ent, we can see Donk will do the exact same thing, except this time he will combine it with a flashbang, intended to discourage any tees from wanting to push through the smoke. And just a quick note about Spirit's util. On A, Shiro will typically drop his smoke at the start of every round, or give his smoke to Donk. This being because he's the AWPer, he doesn't really need it when he's holding an angle, compared to Donk, who is rifling and is moving around, i.e. it's much easier for him to smoke off an angle and get back into position. Now after Donk throws his util, he likes to make his way over to connector. From this position, he can listen for players dropping down into connector, or players going fast up ramp. And I'll explain this later on in the video, but generally Donk doesn't stay around connector for too long, so in this round we can see Donk will come down, throw HE and leave. In round 7 against FaZe we can see something similar, except this time FaZe is going to throw a Molotov at connector. It's up to you when you want to throw this HE, as you could throw it as the Molotov is soon to fade, but for Donk, he likes to throw it when the Molotov is landed. But in this round it does no damage. But a huge benefit of playing connector, apart from the information, is that it's super easy to rotate B. In this round, Ents are rushing fast into monster. As Donk is close by, he can easily assist. He will make his way downstairs and peek out of connector into short pipe. Because his short play through this Molotov and the tees didn't extinguish it, he knows the tees can't be out short. So as he peeks out, he can solely focus on short pipe. As he knows short isn't a threat, he can make his way to site and try cut off the angles. By trying to split the site in half, it relieves pressure from the B side players, making it difficult for the tees to wrap them, and he can also catch the tees off guard, as we see from Kufi. Then later, he gets the last kill. But something you can do other than playing connector is HEing ramp. In this round, Donk will throw his util, and then it will peek outstairs. The smoke Donk threw for ramp gives him the cover and safety to throw this HE deep into ramp, but in this round it does little damage. And as I mentioned before, the starting util combo can be fantastic for aggression. But unfortunately, when I've been watching Spirit's last 2 games, they only did aggression mid once, where personally I feel like if you have a player on Donk's aggressive level, you might want to use his strengths a little bit more. But that's up to Team Spirit, and if you do want to know more aggressive peaks you can do with this combo, check out this video. But in this round, Donk is wanted to peek. He throws his util, and his third A player in Chopper, who is the B rotator, will be Divider and will throw this flashbang, allowing Donk to peek after it to punish those who are coming through the smoke. When he feels like he can't get anything else, he will throw a HE and leave. And while all of this is happening, you have Shiro on long posted into playground, ready to punish any tease wanting to quickly peek out. And the last thing I want to show you that you can do at the start of the round is this long A setup for 3 players. In this, Shiro will throw the util, meanwhile Donk and Chopper will make their way into long. Donk will keep an eye on long for a little bit, but as Chopper gets into position, he will play anti-flash. So as Chopper is holding the angle, if he does get blind, he can easily turn around and help him. And if Chopper does get contact and they don't flash, again, he can easily turn around and help. But when Donk feels like there's no early aggression coming, he will keep his crosshair posted on toilets. And in this round, they hold this setup for a very long time, and Shiro can just play around toilets or site. Now, I just want to quickly talk about Donk falling away from mid. And for reference, I'm just going to reference this area as mid, just to make it a bit easier. Generally when Donk is playing, he doesn't really stay around for mid for too long. Generally throwing his default util, maybe staying around con and then falling away. And in pretty much every game he does this. But whenever he is playing solo A, this action is amplified, meaning that he will throw his util and instantly fall away, not risking anything on mid to give up here. Now, at times when Donk does fall off from mid, he might position at toilets, however it is pretty rare, and most notably, he will tend to go to toilets from site rather than mid to toilets. But in this round, Donk is going to fall away from mid and position himself on this bench. The purpose of this is to catch tees slowly coming out of stairs, potentially trying to clear connector. You could hold the angle, but Donk's preference is to jiggle it, likely to make it hard for his opponents to hit him. But when his teammates get the kill on Monster, Donk will activate and will decide to push out of toilets. As he comes out, you will see him clear party, and then swing out stairs. Likely he's doing this to either punish Fizz for trying to go B, get some information, or see if he can find an easy pick. In round 12 against Ents, Donk is going to be playing on site, but will later decide to move into toilets. Now this can be pretty risky as someone could be in toilets, but as is in Donk's nature, Donk likes to push into toilets, which could catch a T off guard as they might not be expecting it. However, can be pretty risky. When he comes into toilets, look at his crosshair placement, ready for any T's to be around that corner. And pushing into toilets like this can be an easy way to get control, making it difficult for Ents to get onto the site. It can get you information, and lastly, you could get an easy kill from a T who wasn't expecting you to be there. But as Ents made noise on Divider, Donk will reposition onto this angle, leaving this tiny little gap in Divider, allowing him to go for fights if players are running back or swinging into toilets. When he swings out again, he catches Goofy and is immediately ready for any potential T's to wrap around toilets, as this smoke from the T's allows them to creep up, and for them it is a pretty common reaction to peek this toilet entrance to try and get rid of you. But currently Donk is trapped on a bit of an island as he doesn't have much information, but he will get a flash from B, allowing him to peek out and safely get back to the site. In round 10, again Donk is going to come from site and will make his way into toilets. But instead of playing bench, he's going to play this pretty common Astralis setup, where Donk will wait for any players to walk past him or peek into him. Meanwhile, he has Shiro holding his toilet entrance. In this round, the setup works pretty well, as Kyler will be for some reason blind and peeks into Donk, and expecting a refrag from toilets, Donk tries to peek into any players, as he feels like he has a better chance to win the fight if he does it. But when Donk returns back to his position, Shiro is going to lose the fight onto Goofy, and unfortunately Donk isn't in a great position to peek. In round 7, again, Donk is going to come from site and will position instead of toilets, again playing the Australis setup. But in this round, we can see there's a toilet smoke. Wanting to abuse it and trying to get an easy kill, Donk is going to glare the smoke. He places himself in this corner, getting ready for any players to be in this corner, and with his game sense, he is correct, as he catches Rain off guard. Later able to fall away back to the site with a man advantage. And the last thing I want to show you from this setup is round 6 against Ents. In this, again, they're going to make their way into toilets playing this Australis setup. But when Ents throws this Molotov into toilets, that forces Shiro away, Donk as your action will peek out to see if he can get into a fight and a kill before he is hard cleared. And in this round, Shiro decides to get pretty aggressive, so he will clear this corner and party again, slowly come out, and almost gets a double kill. Meanwhile, while all of this is happening, Shiro repositions to Divider, where he gets the kill. Another setup you might want to play in toilets is one player saying Divider and one player in toilets. In this, Shiro can just hold toilets, meanwhile Donk can watch for any players coming up Divider. And they don't need to worry about long, as they have a player watching it. In this round, Ents will try to execute onto the site. Donk does get slightly blind and forced into this corner, but with Donk's mechanic, he's somehow able to win the unlikely fight. And the last setup I want to showcase is this one in round 8 against FaZe. In this, Shiro is holding connector, and you're going to have Donk on long. The aim of the setup is to have Donk hold this angle, and he will peek out when Shiro wants to fall off. Now, it is worth noting in this setup, there is a gap for T to potentially flank Shiro. However, I'm guessing Spirit thinks this is an unlikely scenario and decides to leave this open. When Shiro gets that kill into Frozen, Donk swings out, getting ready to catch players who might be trying to flank Shiro. And in this round, he starts getting into a fight with Rain, where he later wins it, and him and Shiro can fall off back to the site. Now let's move over to the positions and setups Donk likes to use. Since Donk and Shiro like to fall off to the site pretty early in the round, they need to have lots of different setups they can use, just to spice things up. One of the most common positions we see Donk play is this one at sign. In this, he can bounce between toilets and long, checking long for any players creeping up, then he can bounce back and look at Divider. And since Shiro's playing pretty close, Donk can take some of the attention if they do spot him, potentially setting up Shiro for kills. Then after he's checked Divider, he can jump spot toilets using this tiny little gap. In this round, it goes pretty well, as when he peeks out, he gets the kill into Brokey. He tries to fight at toilets, but personally, I think Shiro or his teammate Chopper should have been holding Divider, allowing Donk to hold toilets. In round 9 against FaZe, we can see something similar, except this time, Shiro's playing flowers with an AWP. Meanwhile, Donk will do the exact same peeks, going back and forth, checking long, Divider and toilets. But later in this round, Donk wants to potentially get information, so he pushes into toilets. In round 10, again, Donk is going to be playing the exact same thing, except this time Shiro's taking a more deep angle, likely wanting to hold angles near connector. Another setup you can use with, again, Donk still jiggling that sign, except this time Shiro is going to be holding this angle, having this tiny little gap to look into Divider. If you want to have a strong position for information, you could play Divider. In this, Donk is sitting on top of the bench looking into Divider. Meanwhile, his teammates should have long and his toilet entrance covered. And one of the great benefits about this position is that you have visibility of the enemy shadows before they peek, allowing you to react sooner. But do note from this position, it can be hard to fall off and will likely be a one and done spot for you. One of the more safe setups you can run is to have a player holding long and one player, in this case Donk, near truck. Shiro can easily grab information, and if he does spot a player, he can either play to the back of site or he can play deep inside a bank, in an angle like this. But in this round, Shiro is going to Molotov toilets and Donk will peek out, likely because the time is getting low. We're going to see Donk do this peek quite a bit in this round, and I believe it's because they don't want to be suddenly surprised by an execute. But as we see from Donk, he isn't peeking for too long, he's just getting a quick glance and falling away. Now, I just want to quickly show you some positions you can play if you're solo A. In this round, Donk is completely alone on site and has a teammate on long. With his lawn covered, he's going to be doing a similar jump spot as we see before. However, this time, he's going to use the gap inside of the sign to gain information in toilets, ensuring he's safe. Then occasionally he will peek out into divider for information. However, later in this round, Shiro is going to fall away from long, and they later both decide that they want to push into toilets to create a surprise setup. Now I just want to quickly highlight round 7. In this, Donk is completely alone on the site, and Spirit are gambling B with 3 players. So in this round, Donk is going to be jump spotting long, jump spotting toilets and divider, trying to quickly and safely gain information. But when Zoti gets the kill onto Carrigan, I believe Donk makes a big mistake and over-rotates. As you're the only site player, if you leave, you're completely compromising the site. And with 3 players on that B bomb site, I don't believe you need to be on B to help them. Donk will jump down from bin and soon realizes the mistake he's made. As he tries to return to B, he peeks out and well, he gets caught out trying to transition onto the site. If Donk stayed on the site for a longer period, he could have spotted these players trying to make their way up and potentially give his teammates more time and room for them to rotate in. So let's say he was jiggling like this, he could spot players at divider or toilet and maybe fall off to dice where he can try and pick the angles he wants to fight, or he could play safe instead of bank and try to prevent players from crossing into truck. When watching Donk's demos, I've noticed they play pretty safe. Spirit at the start of the round does not like to risk their lives so early, and instead opts to play the site or goes toilets from site later in the round. He plays in tandem. As Shiro and Donk play the site a lot, they need to have good communication on what they are holding and adjust to what's being thrown at them. And lastly, he can be surprising. During the mid or late round, Spirit likes to venture into toilets and try to get themselves into a setup. And maybe in some scenarios, Donk will push out even further if he feels like the time is right. Again, this can be risky, but is great for information and potential kills. You need to add more maps to your map pool. Check out this guide I made, where I took a look at the tier 1 pros and how they default on the entirety of the CT side of Vertigo. That video can be found in the description. Apart from that, thanks for watching, cheers traded.gg for the sponsor, and see ya in a bit.